So, has the mayor of Uvalde called you to apologize for what he said to you that day when you confronted Greg Abbott and tell you that he now agrees with you about trying to do something about gun safety?
I'm just glad that he and the city council are taking this action and that community is standing up for itself. The parents of those kids who were killed, the family members of those two teachers, they've led marches in their community. They've led rallies. They've held press conferences. They're asking for accountability. They're asking for justice, and they're asking for action. And they're being pretty specific right now through their representatives on the council. At a minimum, raise the age of purchase for an AR-15, AK-47, weapons originally designed for use in combat, designed to kill an enemy soldier at 500 feet, piercing their helmet. These kids were not 500 feet. They weren't wearing helmets on that day. Some cases had to be identified by the shoes that they were wearing, at least increase the age to 21 years old. And as you just played in that clip, the governor says there's no agreement in this state. In fact, 73% of Texans, that's gun owners, that's non-gun owners, Republicans, Democrats, they agree that we should raise the age of minimum purchase to 21. You've got Republican mayors, you have Republican legislators out there who will come to the table. All we lack is the political will and leadership in the highest office in Texas. That's why we need to change. Those families deserve it.
The poll indicates 73% support in the state of Texas, but as you go out there on the campaign trail, how strong, how intense is that feeling? In Uvalde, obviously, it's very strong, very powerful. But as you move greater distances away from that in Texas, how strong is that support?
Lawrence, I've spent the last 9 days on the road in Texas in places like Lubbock and Amarillo, in Pampa and Dumas. I just left Pittsburgh, Texas, after being in Texarkana the night before. All of these communities are represented by Republican state legislators. In every single one of these communities, there is common ground with those Republicans and Democrats in the room about raising the minimum age, about extending background checks until they're universal in the state of Texas, implementing a red flag law. And, you know, if the governor is serious about mental health care, let's invest there. We're 51st in the nation in access to a mental health care provider. The month before Uvalde, Greg Abbott took $211 million out of the state of Texas's mental health care budget. So we're all about it, but unfortunately, he's not. We need action at this moment, or there will be more shootings, unfortunately, like the one that we saw in Uvalde or El Paso or Sutherland Springs or Santa Fe High School or Midland, Odessa, or so many of them. We've had 5 of the worst shootings in U.S. history right here in this state in the last 5 years. Abbott's been governor for every single one of them. I don't think he wants these mass shootings. I don't think he wants kids to die. But he is either unwilling or incapable of doing the things necessary to change this so it doesn't happen going forward. That's why we have to change who's in that office going forward.
I want to go to another issue. In the thick of the summer in Texas, where your electrical grid is under tremendous pressure under this heat and the air conditioning burden in Texas. And we know that grid is something that Texans cannot rely on. How has it been going so far?
People are angry because Greg Abbott has yet to fix the grid. I was in Quanah, Texas, talking to a cotton grower that I visited a few years back. He told me that last February he was freezing in his home, didn't know if he was going to survive the night because the heat wouldn't work. Power wasn't on in the energy capital of the world. And to add insult to injury, he's now paying higher utility bills every day. We can fix this. It's winterizing and weatherizing the grid. It's connecting ERCOT, our grid in Texas, with the nation's grid so that we can draw down power when we need it, sell it back up when we have a surplus. But it also means going after Greg Abbott's cronies, this corruption in Texas that allowed these energy traders and pipeline companies to steal $11 billion from Texans over 5 days in February when people were literally freezing to death. When I'm governor, we're going to go after those illegal profits and return them back to that cotton grower in Quanah, Texas, and to Texans all over this state. We can do this. We're the energy capital of the world. It's not for a lack of energy or electricity. Again, it's leadership, his corruption, his incompetence, his cruelty His chaos is costing Texas. We've got to make a change.